What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shay and today is the start of a new reading vlog. So if you don't know what I'm doing in the month of February, I am playing a Chutes and ladder style game with my book club. I will link the other two reading vlogs from that down below. But essentially, I'm going around this board and I'm landing on letters, and whatever letter I land on, I have to read a book that either the title starts with that letter or the author's first or last name starts with that letter. And the goal is to accrue points for your team, and you only get points if you can consecutively connect your alphabet letters. So if I have an A and a B and I have an F, I only get points for A, B, and I don't get any points for F until I hook from A to F, if that makes any kind of sense. So I have read about 10 books so far, which is great for me because the month is not over and I'm going to continue to read, and here is my next roll. Okay, we are going to roll 1. That's going to be R. Fantastic. Okay, so I landed on R, and in my last reading vlog, I read The Last Ranger by J.D.L. Roselle, and I could have moved on to The First Ancestor, which is the second book in that series, but I don't like to read my series or binge them back to back just to get a little bit of break from the world, so I decided to move on to Spire Climbers by Rob J. Hayes. I read Titan Hoppers, which is the first book in the series, in January, gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. And here in 2025, we are trying to read our series closer together. We are trying to move on with series. That is a goal of mine, and I'm gonna do it. So I chose to read Spire Climbers. I'm about 50% in. If you don't know what Titan Hoppers is, it is a self-published fantasy novel that follows our main character, Iroh, and he's down on his luck. This kind of follows a caste type system. Iroh is part of the lower castes, and they are on these ships that are essentially dying. They need materials from other things to help their ship live on, food, all of these things that they cannot grow and make themselves, obviously, like mechanical things to fix their ships and everything of that nature. And they have these classes of people that are called hoppers that basically hop to these large titans that are very dangerous in order to gather supplies. And Iroh's sister was a titan hopper, and she hopped to a titan and unfortunately got killed on that titan as it exploded. And so we're starting our story kind of where there's this new titan that has been discovered. We have gone a long time since the last explosion, and everybody is really having to just basically live really poorly because there's no supplies. And suddenly they find this new titan comes into the picture, and they are going to try to hop to this titan to gather materials, explore it, that kind of thing. And Iroh actually has no powers. So while his sister was a titan hopper, he is not. But due to some circumstances, he actually ends up having to hop there, and then he gains magical powers. So in the first book, we saw him kind of progress and have to really work as somebody in a lower caste to get up to speed and kind of learn about his magical powers. And my AC is going to click on, so I'm going to hurry up and continue to finish what I'm going to say. And so in this book, we are kind of continuing that journey. I do think that this kind of suffers a little bit from middle book syndrome because I am not the kind of person who just like action and feel like I am getting a full story. I want something else to the plot besides just action. And right now at 50%, we are getting a little bit of plot, and I'm getting a little bit of that character development that I loved so much in book 1, but I'm not getting exactly what I want because I'm getting a lot of action. This is kind of like a progression sci-fi, so I understand the way we're working up to things, but I feel like I need more meat at this point in the second book and more plot to drive me forward. I think this is a trilogy. All 3 books are out, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to continue to read, and I'll check back in when I get done and when I roll my next roll. Alright, I'm fixing to update you guys on a bunch of stuff all at once. I did have footage of me talking about Titan Hoppers and the next book I read. However, the audio messed up, so I'm going to talk about those here. So I did finish Spire Climbers by Rob DeHaze, and I ended up really liking it, not as much as the first one. I gave it 4 stars. This lit RPG kind of thing where we're getting loot and we're leveling up. In this particular book, it was just too action heavy. I needed more to the story than just action. I did wind up liking where the story went and where our characters went and the growth of that, but it really was bogged down by just action, action, action. And, you know, it's like a lit RPG video game, and in this sense, I feel like it would have been better to play the video game version than to read about it, if that makes any sense. So I still don't know how I'm going to feel about lit RPG going forward. But then I rolled again. Okay, I was on R. So here we go, rolling again. 4. Can I please move the things? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I am on D. And I got another D. So this is not good for me either, but I decided to read a book that I've been meaning to read it for quite some time, and that is The Last Quintista by Donna Barbara Higuera, I think is how you say her name. Sorry if it's not, but I did actually finish this book, and again, it didn't update y'all because I did, but my audio quality was not well. So I have some mixed feelings about this book. I've heard nothing but praise for this book, but I actually have a little bit of criticism. I did overall enjoy this book, but not as much, I think, as everybody else. And so this is following our main character, Petra, and she lives on Earth, and a comet is actually going to hit Earth and cause it to become extinct. So they have picked who they think, scientists, things like that, who they think will be best to go to this new world called Sagan, and their family is picked because her parents, I believe, are scientists. And they go into this cryostasis where they are going to go off into this new world and basically colonize a new Earth. So number 1, we have a very bleak start. This is very sad. She's having to leave everything she knows back home on Earth, including her abuela, who she learns from and gets her storytelling from, and she loves to tell stories. And so she and her brother, and they get in the ship, and they're going 300 something years into the future, and when she wakes up, things are not quite all it seems, and that's where we start the book. It's a great sci-fi adventure. However, I felt most of the story was bleak, and I just don't know if this would be a story that I would let my lower age range middle grader read, because everything was so bleak. There was nothing hopeful to me about the story without too many spoilers. It was also kind of dragged out. You didn't get as many answers as I wanted it to give. Overall, I gave it 4 stars. I could have rounded it down to like a 3.5 if I did 0.5 stars, but I don't. I'm just not going to be that picky about it. But I did enjoy it. I do recommend it if you like that kind of dystopian sci-fi read. It just wasn't... I just had more higher expectations than what it delivered. Then I rolled again. Okay, I was on D. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a ladder. So into B. I landed on a ladder for B and N. Okay, B, I've already have that letter, so that's whatever I read for that is not going to count. towards this challenge, towards these points. And N, I'm never going to read enough books to get to N. The challenge is almost over. The month is coming to an end. I'm never going to get to N. So we're just going to pick something to read. I did decide to go ahead and read my B book. So how this works is I can read the letters in any order I want to because I'm going to turn these letters in at the same time. So for my B book, I decided to read The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond. I'm about 30% into that story, and I'm actually really liking it. Now me, I don't jive with novellas. Most of y'all know that. But I'm actually really liking this one. This is following our main character who, you know, she's done some not great things and she's trying to redeem herself. And so in order to redeem herself, she must go and steal the Fireborn Blade from this very vicious dragon. Now, this book sets up dragons as being very, very difficult to kill, and even after they kill, there are certain things that can come after you to kill you. So this particular dragon that she's going after is like known as one of the deadliest dragons, and it's going to be very difficult for her to obtain this blade. And overall, I'm liking the story, I'm liking the characters. We'll see how it goes. I'll check in when I get done. So I finished the Fireborn Blade, and y'all, it's happened. It's happened. I've given a novella 5 stars, which is like unheard of. At first, you know, I was jiving with the book, but I wasn't like enamored. And then as we got into the storytelling and the weird timeline that it was doing, telling the story, and then the thing that happened, if you know, you know, I didn't see it coming, and I was like, wait, what? And complete shock. And so that's what gave this book 5 stars for me. And so I can't wait to continue on to the second little novella in this series of novellas. So then I had to read my N book. And so while I was reading novellas, I decided to read The Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown. And this one was a little bit of a different experience for me. This is a sci-fi kind of horror novella, and it just didn't bring anything new to the table. Again, we have this ship that has fled Earth because it's going to become uninhabitable to find a different place that is habitable, but they get there and that's also not habitable, so they have to turn around and try to go back to Earth. And what do you know it, but there's going to be some kind of creatures that are going to sidetrack what they're doing. We're following our main character, who is the active captain of the ship. Her dad, who used to be captain, has basically shut himself into his room and will not come out and has not had any communication with the people. So we're trying to figure out the mystery of her dad, and we are trying to figure out the mystery of these alien creatures, and we are trying to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. The thing is this is a story that's been told over and over and over and over and over again, and there's nothing new here that was brought to the table, I don't believe. So I just gave it 3 stars. It was just fine. And then I rolled again. All right, I'm on 66. And now I'm going to 1, 2, 3, V up to K. Okay, so I rolled another ladder, which are V and K, which are 2 letters that I have already read from. And it's going to take me a minute to even think about what I could have possibly read for these letters. The challenge is almost over. The month is almost over. Could I possibly get any further? I don't know, but let me think about this, and I will come back when I decide what I'm going to read for these next 2 letters that mean nothing to this challenge. Alright, so I have finished my K book. I decided to go again. It's the end of the month. This challenge is wrapping up with something that was short. So I have been meaning to read more Kristen Maudlin. I read The Arrangement 2 years ago and gave it 5 stars. I never continued on with that series, but I really enjoyed that particular book by her. And so I decided to read The Stranger. And this book follows, it's a very short book. She writes these popcorn thrillers, very short thrillers. This is following 2 characters. We get dual POV. Well, we really get triple POV, but we get our main male. He is driving a car, and it's a very large snowstorm, and he sees this girl who's walking not in very proper clothing to be out in a snowstorm, and he stops, of course, and tries to help her, tries to say, hey, let me drive you to where you need to go because the storm is getting really bad. Like, you're going to, you could die out here, essentially. And so the girl is very hesitant. She's like, you're a stranger, I'm not getting in the car with you, da 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 da. And she eventually does get in the car with him. We do know that some people have been murdered. We don't know who has murdered them. And it's kind of a story of, is it one of them or is it a third party? And that's all I'm going to say. If I say anything else, it's going to be a spoiler. But I overall really enjoyed this one. 4 stars. The twist, nothing exciting, nothing new. Nothing happening, but I really just enjoyed the characters in this one and enjoyed the story overall. It kept me entertained, so that equaled 4 stars for me. Then for my V book, I decided to pick up When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This book is in my backlist jar. I've been wanting to read it, so here's the perfect time to read it. It was available on audio, so I said let me pick that up. I'm about 25% in, and this is following a world where there are lots of different magical beings, magical creatures, and our main male character, he has come across this flower, and this flower can cure things, certain things, and all he wants to do is find Baba Yaga. And so he goes down and he is trying to kind of make a deal with one of these creatures to give her his flower in return of her leading him to Baba Yaga. And it's kind of the story of how they are getting to Baba Yaga. Our female character, who is a magical creature, I can't remember what creature she is, she has this illness and it's slowly killing her. So she needs this flower so it can cure her from this illness. So they're going to try to, it's their adventure of trying to find Baba Yaga. And it's interesting so far. I need to get a little bit further in before I really get a grasp on the story, but I'm liking the characters, I'm liking where this is going, and we'll kind of see what happens from here. I'll check in when I get done. Okay, welcome to the shit show. Okay, let's just go into what has occurred. So I finished the Veronica Roth novella, and I think something's wrong with me, because this novella gets overall mostly negative reviews. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I contemplated giving it 5 stars. I loved the way it ended. I just loved and felt connected to these characters. So I would 100% recommend this novel. I've heard people say that it's boring. I didn't find it so. I liked the twist at the end. There is going to be, this is a series, so it's going to continue on. I don't know when the second one is coming out, but it was very, very interesting. Okay, here's where the shit show begins. Let's roll the tape. Okay, I'm on 89 here, and here we go. 6. Not what I wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just read for K, and I'm reading for K again, and this is my 3rd K. Okay, so here I go again, landing on K. Now, I just read a V and a K, and here I am reading for K again. This is my 3rd K. So I chose to read another Kristen Modulin book, and this one is called Don't Go Down There, and I'm giving it 3 stars. This is a story about a woman who, she's really worried about her husband. They track each other on the phone. She sees that he is home. However, she texts him and she calls him, and he does not answer. So she gets worried, leaves her job and goes home, and realizes at home some things are not exactly what it seems to be. There's of course some twists and turns. This one was just okay to me because it infuriated me. The way that our main character was so dumb, it infuriated me. So it only got 3 stars for me. Yes, I didn't guess the ending, whatever, and normally I like books where I don't guess the ending, but the main character was so insufferable in this, I just could not. So let's cue another shit show. I'm back. I'm on 95, okay. 2. That's gonna be
A V.
Okay. Y'all remember how I just did a ladder from V to K and then I rolled and got a K and now I've rolled again and got another V? What in the world? This is my third V. This is my third V. And I have no clue at this point in time what I'm going to read. Not a single clue. I'm going to have to think on it and then come back to it. But I'm very angry because I got another V. So for my third book, my third V book, I read City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. Okay, I'm not a middle grade fan. Well, it's not to say that I'm not a middle grade fan. It's just not generally what I gravitate towards, but I needed a short V book. And this was kind of on my radar, kind of a spooky season. The reason why I'm not updating as I'm reading is because these are fairly short books. And I have a long commute. So I typically finish my short books like in the car. But City of Ghosts follows our main female character who has had a near-death experience, and she can see ghosts, and she can go into this veil into the other side, and she has this best friend that's a ghost, so she doesn't quite fit in with her other peers. She finds herself traveling with her parents because her parents are actually ghost hunters. Not really, they don't really know those things really exist, but they're ghost hunters and they filmed this show, and so she goes to a different city to kind of see about the ghosts that are there, and she finds some mayhem, some mischief. And overall, I really like this book, and actually, I think I will continue on with this, maybe read the second book later on in spooky season. I don't think it's very important for us to read on right away. I think it was a very contained story. Like, we got a full story in one. So if you didn't want to continue on, I don't think you would have to, because again, the story was contained. Overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars because I enjoyed it for what it was. And then here's what I had to do in the car. Okay, I'm in my car. I'm going to be doing a lot of driving today, so it's time to roll for my next book. Okay, I'm going to try my best. 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. So I had to roll in the car, and I think that this is my third B. Could this be my third B? I don't know. I have read all these letters, and I feel like I have just read so much. It's either my second or my third B. Okay, so I filmed a clip talking about the last book I read for this challenge when I landed on B, but I feel like I talked about spoilers, so I'm redoing this at this point in time. So, A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers is what I decided to read, and I was hesitant going into this book because I'm not a cozy fan. And this is a very short novella. It's like 150 pages. And I don't know what I can say without spoiling this, but this is basically about a boy who lives this life in this city, and he is assigned tasks, and he has done these same mundane tasks year after year after year, and he gets tired of doing said tasks, so he decides to go into the wider world and do some more skills, which he finds out is making teas and comforting people with his teas. One day, he comes across a robot. Robots used to exist in this world. They don't really anymore. One day they walked off into the woods and never interacted with humans again. So as far as we know, this is the first interaction between a robot and a human in a very long time. We just get this relationship between this boy and this robot. I do think that this is a very impactful and important read, at least it was to me, and I gave it 5 stars. Who am I? Who am I? I have given a novella 5 stars. 5 stars. Who am I? So there's another book in the series that I will read at some point soon, but that is going to be all my reading for this challenge. I cannot believe it that we have come to just about the end of February. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I've read just a lot of things this month. So for the last remaining day or so of February, I'm just going to clear my brain, do something else besides read, and that is the plan. That is the plan. And then come back in March with a vengeance and read all the things. So with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one.